Alright, this is William K. Merton, Witness 1, and today we start the Chaos Project. Now, some of you may remember that there was a picture taken, and while the angle may be slightly off, but remember that the White House was in the background. But as I move over to the left, you see there's a brown building in the background. Well, this is the former studio of Field McConnell when he had his little broadcasting site. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this for a second. Now what I did is I've turned this around. And this is a building at 401 North Main Street in Plum City. And it's, as you can see, there's not a whole heck of a lot to it. It's just an old building. It's recently been sold. But if you come up here, and as best I can look on the inside, this has got the really, really old glass in it. And because of that, you get what they call a double frame. But this is basically the old studio. And what's funny about it, this thing used to be a bank. Because if you look over, it's really kind of hard to see. But there's a vault right there. That's what that open door is. And so, basically hit an old bank. And I believe this is the actual studio. There's actually two different offices, but this is one side. And then there's the other. And what I find interesting is what's laying on the floor. If I can get a clear enough picture of it. Yeah, this is, there's a router on the floor. But again, this is a picture I'm across the street. And that gives you an idea of what the building is. Now, this is what started everything. Field McConnell used to run his little studio, entertain people, do all kinds of interesting things, bounce around on a clown wig, and basically just have a good old time. And then he had the misfortune of meeting a man from Wisconsin, or from Minnesota, excuse me. And that started things downhill for this man, Field McConnell, from here in this tiny town in Wisconsin. Not much to the town, and no, I'm not driving that pickup, I'm across the street. And you got the next door neighbor, hardware store, got the First Bank of Baldwin, small bank. And this is the whole town, basically. This is Main Street. You have Beeb's Bar or Tavern, whatever it is. And that's basically it, folks. Not much to it. Just a small old building. A lot of good times were in that building. And unfortunately for Mr. McConnell, the man from Minnesota spoiled it all. Man from Minnesota with his own strange motivations caused this little studio to be empty. Caused Mr. McConnell to be in the state of Florida right now, awaiting an unknown fate. And no longer in this little peaceful town, but rather he's in his gilded cage down in Florida. Gilded cage caused by a man from Minnesota who is wandering around the country doing as he pleases, enjoying life, not a care in the world. So this is the beginning of our adventure. We're going to go take a look at a house, and then we're going to go up to Ellsworth, Wisconsin, look around up there. So stay tuned for day 1 of the Chaos Project. And so we say goodbye to Plum City. We head to our next destination. We're going to look at a house, and then after we look at a house, we're moving on to Ellsworth, and then from there, other places. And then we move on to get set up for the next installment of the Chaos Project. So stay tuned. Come back and visit and watch my further adventures as we explore and we answer questions. Okay, to start our journey today, I am in Ellsworth, Wisconsin, and I have 2 reasons for being here, and one of them is that we are going on a scavenger hunt. So let us begin our journey. And, you know, as usual, I've got to get out of a parking lot. I usually. Now, a while back, somebody made a video. Rather interesting video. And so I'm basically retracing the steps of this little video. Now this is, if I haven't said it before, this is Ellsworth, Wisconsin. And this town is your typical small town in middle America. And another thing this town is famous for is it has a county courthouse. And a certain man from Plum City, Wisconsin, has some legal issues that are on file in this courthouse. And so I came up here to do a little research on these legal issues. And I've also come up here on a little bit of a mission. And that is to track the source of this video and to explore a little bit. Now, as I've mentioned in the past, I have a little bit of a background, and that background happens to be in technology. And so I know a few things about things. And so we are going to do some exploring on the subject of technology to answer a question. And so we go up this 2-lane highway and we're going to pay a visit. Now, some of you may have heard that there is a group of people that think that certain things are evil. And one of the things they think are evil are cell towers. 5G cell towers. And what was interesting is somebody decided to take a trip and come up to this cell tower. And this cell tower is located on this farm. Now, indulge me for a moment. I've got to get out of the car. The man from Minnesota, for some reason, had an issue with this particular tower. Nothing too unusual about it, except for it's supposedly one of these dreaded 5G towers. And he's only partly correct. This is a multiple purpose tower. And there's really not that much to it. But for whatever reason, this conspiracy theorist from Wisconsin decided to come visit this tower and make a big stink out of it. Why, I have no idea. There's this type of tower all over the place. And I'm going to tell you something about this little tower up here. Anybody that knows anything about technology is it's not a 5G tower. It's a mixed purpose tower. It's got maybe 1 or 2 5G transponders on there, but they are mostly 4G. And the reason being is that nobody in this town has a 5G phone. It's a new developing technology, and basically they're ahead of the curve. And so we have a conspiracy theorist that has a big burr up his ass over a cell tower. So I thought I would come out here and take a picture of a cell tower. This is attempt 2. While I was filming, the farmer came out, and this was because on that Sunday, the man from Minnesota had come down here and taken pictures of the tower. And this is while the tower was under construction. Of course, now the tower has been built. Here we had a nice, funny little conversation about how all this unnecessary attention was paid to this tower, which is less than a mile from downtown Ellsworth, Wisconsin, and it services this area. Cell towers, on average, will service an area roughly 3 to 10 miles apart. Off in the distance is another tower. And you'll see, if you look at a map, that there's towers every 3 to 6 miles. And when you communicate on a tower, you're jumping from one tower to another, to another, to another. And it's all done through computers. And the switching is in 1/100th of a second. Almost instantaneous. You really never notice it. The more towers go up, the better coverage you get. And then, as part of to get himself in the conspiracy world there, to get himself in the conspiracy theory world, our man from Minnesota decided to come out here and take pictures of the tower. Now, I don't know what other reason he had for being in Ellsworth, Wisconsin, unless there's somebody out here he knows. But that's the story. And so that was the scavenger hunt. And so now we're going to go someplace different. I'm going to go back into Ellsworth. And we're going to go to the Ellsworth County Courthouse. Or to the county courthouse in Ellsworth to do some research. You have to keep an eye out when you go to these little towns for the policeman. don't like people streaking through town. This isn't like Orlando or Apopka or anywhere in Florida where you can buzz through town at 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. You better be doing the legal speed or under, or they're gonna get you. So you gotta behave yourself. But the farmer that I talked to, he didn't think too kindly of the man from Minnesota. Wasn't happy with him. And he said he did something rather silly, that he took pictures of the trucks that were parked there that had nothing to do with the tower. The trucks weren't the people building the tower. They were doing soil samples. It's an agricultural company. So the investigative reporter really didn't do much in the way of investigating. He just came out, took a bunch of pictures of a tower, made up a conspiracy theory, and the rest is history. Now, Ellsworth is not a very big town. It doesn't take very long to get from one place to another. The cell tower in question was less than 5 miles from the courthouse. And you know what they say about a town that has a single red light? Well, I just waited for the single red light. And he's around the corner. We are back at Ellis County Courthouse. And the Ellis County Courthouse has a tower, a communications tower. Because I believe the law enforcement is in this building. Not sure. But as we go around the block here, I don't know if they have a municipal parking lot or if I'm just going to park on the shoulder, but we're going to find out. Because I'm going to go in the courthouse. And I'm going to look up some paperwork. Or maybe I will. Because of the virus, there may not be much going on here other than a photo op. So we shall see. So, my friends, I'm going to go into the courthouse. I'll try to anyway. See what they're doing with the corona thingamajiggy. And I shall return. Alright. We are in the back of the Ellis County Courthouse. Or Ellsworth Courthouse, I should say. County Courthouse. So I'm going to walk. Just take a little walk. See what they say here. Read all the little signs, you know. Got this little sign here that says you gotta, obey the rules. Okay, what it is these are closed, so I guess I'll have to do everything I want to do online. But while I'm here, I'm going to take some pictures of the courthouse. I'm in the back of the building. Okay, this is the Pierce County Courthouse. This is where things happen to people. Somebody came to court because they threatened a woman in Florida, got thrown in jail, and found himself extradited to the state of Florida, where he now waits. Ooh, get my hand out of the picture. Where he now stands trial for his actions. He's under house arrest at his son's house, awaiting trial. So there you are. A building in the middle of a small town. Well, as it turns out, probably the only reason that Timothy Charles Homestead visited this tower, which is off in the distance, right over there. He visited that tower while he was here at the Pierce County Sheriff's Department. He saw it as an opportunity to inject yet another one of his conspiracy theories, since everybody had been talking about 5G towers and the purported viruses they cause. But that's who people are. They have that subliminal motivation. And so we have the tale of the tower. And now we have the true tale of the tower. The tale was nothing more than a fantasy, nothing more than a way to get attention. So while he was at the Ellsworth jail, where his friend was held, possibly, have to check the dates to understand why he was in Ellsworth, Wisconsin on that fateful day. But it was likely that he was here to visit his friend. Actually, not a friend, just somebody he was using for his own purposes. And so he decided to take pictures of a tower. The tower across is from the sheriff, a tower across from the Shopco, a tower down the street from the water tower. And so ends the tale of the tower. But as I said, as we embark on a new journey, we take a look at the old journey to show you how close these points of interest were. For the tower is directly across the street from an old store that's up for sale. And our man from Minnesota looked over at that tower and he went, "Oh, I can add that to my catalog of conspiracy theories," not knowing that it is not a 5G tower. It's primarily a 4G. And anybody that's been in the telecommunications business for any amount of time knows that. So our story of the mysterious 5G tower has now ended, and we're off to our next adventure. All right, everybody, we're about halfway through our little journey to Osceola, Wisconsin. Funny thing, we have a county in Florida called Osceola County. It's a rather scenic ride. You got the mountains and the trees. The waning days of summer, I guess you could call it. Just after Labor Day weekend, the middle of the month, kids are back in school. People are working, those that are employed anyway. And the rest of us find things to do. Although technically, I'm not unemployed, I'm just kind of combining my trip. I was lucky enough to have business up this way and decided to take a 4-hour function that I had to get involved with and make a week out of it. I have these opportunities from time to time, so I take advantage of them. And the reason I came to Wisconsin will be dealt with tomorrow. But in the meantime, I get to poke around a little bit. This town is like 1,000 other towns all over the United States. Just little groups of houses, close-knit community, God-fearing, good people. And in the mix of all these God-fearing, good people are the right-wing radicalists. Those with extreme views. And there are good, close-knit neighborhoods in this country that would be on the left. And they would be made up of left-wing radicals. Kind of like...
In 800 feet, turn right onto Main Street.
Equal opportunity radicalism. And in the middle of all this are the people that simply believe in what they believe and believe and disagree with their opposites in a civilized manner. And yet the extremists, they're not capable of it.
Take the next right onto Main Street, then turn left onto Wisconsin 35 North.
A lot of zigzagging on this trip. Oh my goodness, a Dairy Queen. First one I've seen on this trip. We got a Dairy Queen down in Orlando. Several of them, as a matter of fact.
Turn left onto Wisconsin 35 North, Churchill Road.
And a truck with a flag on it. See a lot of that around here. See it all over.
Continue on Wisconsin 35 North for 14 miles.
See that a lot on everywhere. So everybody has their flags in the back of their truck. It seems to be a tradition. United States flags, Confederate flags, patriotic flags, political flags, all kinds of flags. But mostly the flag of the United States of America. Which is a good thing. Whole bunch of free stuff. Having a Monday yard sale. Interesting. Apple River Family Campground. Yeah, there's a bunch of people camping. Getting in the last bit of camping before the winter sets in. And we got 13 miles to go to Osceola. Interesting, we have a Polk County in Wisconsin. Just like there's a Polk County, Minnesota. Cutting down the corn, getting ready for the next crop. I'm kind of curious if these are dedicated cornfields or if they do crop rotation. And they have sweet corn, which is my favorite corn. Directly from the farm. East Farmington, Wisconsin. We are about 8 minutes from our destination. 5 miles from our next turn. Oak Grove Cemetery. Oak Grove cemeteries are all over the place. Another one of these cookie cutter small towns. One thing I've noticed in the 50 miles I've driven so far is there's not one single Walmart. Not one. It's like this is Trump country again. And just like that, we're out of town. Nice big rock. Oh. Okay, we are now in Osceola, Wisconsin. Passing a hospital. Looks like a municipal center or something, you know. General contractor, fire and rescue. And they have an airport. Fascinating. Not a bad little airport. Interesting. Sorry, Mr. Truck. This is 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. Canoes and kayaks. So we got a little recreational activity in this town.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto 2nd Avenue.
Quaint little town. I don't know
Take
why
the next right onto 2nd Avenue. Then you will arrive at your destination.
I didn't know I had a destination. All I said was Osceola. But we'll see what's at our destination.
You've arrived.
Alright, everybody, that was Mr. Olsen's office. This is where it was alleged that our person from Minnesota would come and hang out, make some of these oddball videos of his, and generally make a fool of himself and everybody else. And so now we're off on another adventure. So stay tuned. Oh, goodness. Went to the wrong chiropractor. Alright. Well, off on another adventure. I guess I'm going to scratch that whole video. Alrighty. Well, this thing is being persistently stupid. There we go. Okay, let me do this. Let me turn around. What the fuck is this thing? Okay. Son of a Alright, we are now done with Dr. Olsen. Getting the lay of the land here. So now we go to our next destination, which is going to be about an hour and a half from now. Osceola turned out to be an interesting little town. Quaint, if you could say so.